Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us to the first ever episode of Realtor Man Dan. My name is Dan Thornton. I've been a realtor since the early 1990s. And I want to go ahead and start bringing my years of experience to YouTube and start answering questions both to people looking to purchase homes or maybe people interested in getting into the real estate game. So with all that being said, I'm going to present to you in today's video 5 things that everybody who's looking to become a first-time home buyer should maybe consider on their approach to becoming a homeowner. There's going to be a lot of things you don't know and the questions you don't know to ask. So I would encourage you to follow these rules and then reach out to somebody, whether it's me or whomever else, to try to find answers. You're going to find, and this is me being as brutally honest as I can be, you're going to find that the vast majority of realtors are more or less mechanics who don't know how to work on cars. So when you're interviewing realtors, you may want to find out, do they actually know how construction works, how something may be right or wrong with a home? If all they can do is open a door and put papers in front of you, are they really doing you a service? Things for us to consider over time. But with that being said, a couple of shameless plugs, if I may. If you are considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, give me a call or shoot me a text. You see my number on the screen, 269-998-2384. Outside of being a realtor, I've been a coach and a YouTuber, among other traits, for it seems like forever. But let me try to use my over 30 years in the industry to your behest. Let me see if I can help find a way for you to either save money on the purchase or sale of property. It can be commercial property, it can be vacant land, whatever it may be. It can be a new home, a secondary home. You get the gist. You can give me a call and let me try to help you out on this path. But I'm not going to make this a real long video today. We're just going to try to dive down into some basic topics that I thought would be good first starting points for anybody who's beginning the process of looking for a home, and basically everything's brand new to them. So again, welcome to Realtor Man Dan. If you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Trying to make that push to get to 100 subscribers, and from there, 200, 300, etc. You get it. And if you enjoy the content, if you found it useful at all, maybe consider hitting that thumbs up button as well. All right, today's video, as we already talked about, 5 things every first-time home buyer needs to know. We're going to start from 5 and work our way up to number 1. If you do come up with questions, you want to shoot me a call or shoot me a text, feel free. Even if you're not in the state of Michigan, while I may not be able to directly help you with everything, I can probably answer most questions and point you in the direction of people that may be able to service your area. I work anywhere in Michigan, from the Upper Peninsula to the Lower Peninsula, the left side of the state, the right side of the state. You get the gist. Anywhere in Michigan. I've helped a number of people from outside Michigan, though, over the years, as far as helping them find answers to questions they may have. All right, so number 5, and we'll go from 5 to 1, work our way up. Know your tax options. While the day and age of first-time homebuyer credits have basically come to an end, there are a number of other advantages that still a qualified CPA or person of interest can answer for you. If you're beginning the process of selecting a home and going through basically the beginnings of figuring out what you can and can't afford, you do want to take time, a moment of pause, and try to figure out where the tax implications that may help alleviate some of your burden financially on your new mortgage. Remember, mortgages, when they first begin, the first several years are basically almost all interest. And yes, part of that is tax deferrable or a write-off for you. So you're going to want to talk to your CPA and see how much of that can be alleviated at the end of the year when you pay taxes. So check with your local realtor, local government, see if any credits issued can apply to you. I would also encourage you to talk to anybody in your local municipality, so your county, and also double down throughout your state for first-time homebuyers assistance programs. Whatever lender you're using should also be able to assist you in this as well. So put some burden on some of these people who are aimingly going to help you actually on that path. See if they can help you find some credits, deferences, or whatever it may be to help alleviate some of your financial burden, especially those first couple of years, excuse me, of that contract. All right, now next, do your homework. So what does that mean when I say do your homework? Once you find, say, the perfect home for you, a home that you just love, and what is a home that you love? In my opinion, when I work with clients, I have a very simple rule. When we go into that house, the first 5 minutes, if you don't love it, you want to leave it, you want to move on. Don't force an issue. So, I mean, everybody has different situations. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong for your situation, But if you don't have to move, if you're not in an absolute need to sign and buy a new house right here, right now, then you know what? Wait for the right house. The house will speak to you. And then it comes down to once you find that correct house, rely on your realtor, rely on your home inspector, such to go through there and be able to tell you the rights or wrongs of that property. Is it really the house you think it is? Is it better than you anticipated? That's where you need to rely on their wisdom to come through for you. Don't purchase a home without making payments or without doing any of your due diligence. Check on some of the contingencies. You might ask, what is the contingency? So in Michigan, just as an example, you put in an offer for a house and that offer is accepted. Legally, you have 10 days to perform any investigations, inspections on that property you want. You want to get a shaman or a priest to come over and bless that house, you're within your legal rights. Well, the bottom line is in Michigan, that 10-day home inspection window, and every state's different, but for the most part, they're fairly universal in those regards. You're allotted an amount of time to do your due diligence. Make sure the house doesn't have any huge magnified issues that maybe you go, now that I know about this issue, I want to back out. You do have the ability to do that. So keep that in mind. You also want to consider that your lender, if you're using a lender, is going to offer an appraisal contingency. What does this mean? For simple math, let's say you offer 200,000, 5 million, $29 billion on the house, and it's through a mortgage. The lender is going to send out an appraiser to check on the value of the house. This appraiser is an independent party. They have nothing to do with you. They have nothing to do with the lender. They're just going to give their thoughts on what the property is actually worth. If that property isn't worth what you've offered, you can back out of that deal in most circumstances. You will want to check with your realtor and local municipalities to make sure that's true. But I would say 90% of the time, 99% of the time, that is a safeguard aimed at protecting all buyers. All right, number 3. Let's go next on the list. I'm sorry I don't have a drum roll for you, but you get the gist. Hopefully you're here just listening for the information anyways and trying to educate yourself a little bit. But number 3 is going to be, no, there's no such thing as a perfect home. I get, especially as a first-time buyer, we all have expectations that we're going to get the Taj Mahal, and that's rarely the case. Understand when you're first starting out, you're buying a house that realistically speaking, you're going to keep for 2 to 3 years, maybe in some situations 5 years before life changes and you probably outgrow that property. Everybody's situation is different. So keep in mind, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen for each person viewing this video, but use it as kind of a rough shoe, a guideline to some extent. When you get that house is going to have some errors, and you're going to, over time, fix those errors, fix that property, and then you're going to move on to a property that probably is more ideal to your situation. What I would encourage anybody who's looking at earnest and when starting out is, when you start looking at houses, you're going to change by probably the 3rd or 4th or 5th or 29th house. You're going to figure out, here was my expectation when I started. Here's where, as I looked at more houses, said, maybe this thing wasn't so important to me, but this other topic is. And that's why I would encourage you. Don't allow a realtor, don't allow anybody else to make you buy a house that you're really not comfortable with. Make sure you understand, as you evolve your knowledge and wisdom about what you do and what you don't like, that, hey, this is the topics I have ended up deciding are really important to me. These are some things, you know what, I can wait on that. Maybe another house, maybe they're not as important to me. So keep that in mind. Your ideas about what you want and what you can get may change as you look at more and more homes. Hopefully I didn't word that too poorly for you. All right, now let's get that drum roll going and go into the number 2. Pick the right real estate agent. Now, as I already said in this video, it's my opinion, there's a lot of people that get into real estate because they're enticed by the idea of getting a quick buck or so. What I would encourage you when you're interviewing potential realtors is find out, do they really know what real estate is? Do they really know the difference between this type of roof, that type of roof, that type of outlet, this type of outlet? How about foundational concerns? Can they give you any wisdom other than, here's the house, let me open it up and get you through it? And again, you have to do what's right for you. I'm just giving you my free thoughts and wisdom here. Pick an agent who actually knows somewhat about construction, local municipality rules, and as far as how the houses should be constructed. Here's a quick example. Do they understand the clay or the soil contents for your area? Understand that's going to change throughout the United States. The type of clay and soil we have in the Midwest around Michigan is vastly different than you have out west or on the East Coast. Why is that important? How does that affect roofs? How does that affect foundations, the walls, the structures, the type of insulation you use? These are the things you should be selecting a realtor, in my opinion, for, because they're going to understand these topics. And most people, when they go through a house, unless they have some sort of background in the trades, do not know these things. They're relying on a realtor to help them along that way. On top of that, you want somebody who's going to help get a better price on a house for you whenever possible. You're going to try to help make sure that realtor is not going to have you overpay for a property. So you'd want to try to interview the realtor as much as possible. Don't be afraid to interview 3, 4, 5, 29 different realtors until you feel really comfortable with the right person. We're all going to try to, for the most part, every realtor is going to try to get you to sign some sort of contract saying you can only use them for 5 months, 3 months, 4 years, whatever it may be. To me, as flat out and honest as I can be, I think it's BS, because if at some point you don't think this is a good relationship between you and I, that piece of paper is just like a weight on everybody's back. What type of real experience am I going to be able to guide you through in finding the correct property for you if we have adversary relationship where neither one wants to work with each other? So all these are things for you to consider. And I'm probably giving you too much information, but you know what? I'd rather have you have too much than too little. So again, don't be afraid to ask a lot of questions as you're interviewing realtors to find out who's really the right fit for you. Try to get somebody with some experience in multiple different areas and try to make sure that person really can educate you, as somebody who's probably doesn't know as much as them in how real estate works, into finding the correct house and any ills with the potential house. All right. So with that being said, now let's go to number one. How much home can you afford as a first-time home buyer? Your realtor probably, and honest, can't answer this for you because they're not a lender, but they should be able to help point out good lenders for you. Nobody in the real estate game who's a realtor should be able to tell you, hey, just talk to this person. If they're saying that, then they're probably not really looking out for your behalf. They may have a relationship with that person. They may really know, hey, this person is a great lender. You should talk to this person. But I would highly encourage you to talk to 1, 2, 3, maybe 29 different lenders in an effort to find out who really has the best product and services for you. At the end of the day, it's not about the realtor. It's about you, the client. What is the best lender with the best product for you and your needs? Your realtor can help point some things out to you for sure, but don't be afraid, again, to talk to several different lenders and try to work out the best deal for you. When you have lender A pull your credit, you can have, I think it's really infinite amount of different lenders for a mortgage pull your credit within a 12-day window. Within that 12-day window, all those different lenders who pull your credit will count as one ding on your credit score. And again, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Do your own homework. Do your own investigations to confirm this. But that is my experience. That is my wisdom. And that's what I would tell any client of mine to do, is don't rely on one person. Talk to several different lenders and find out who has the best rates, points, etc. on your behalf. All right, I'm going to wrap up this video here. Hopefully it was quick and educational for you folks. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, you know you can get a hold of me. You saw my number on the screen earlier, but if you need it again, feel free to reference it here. If you're considering buying or selling property, give Dan a call. Realtor Man Dan is available, 269-998-2384. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you for tuning into this video. If you would be so kind, consider subscribing to Realtor Man Dan. Don't be afraid to leave the thumbs up. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. Until the next time, we'll see you on the next Realtor Man Dan. Take care, everybody.